So imagine this, you're out in the wild and suddenly a deer appears on the trail. Do you grab your camera and shoot handheld, or do you start setting up a tripod? Today we are diving into one of the biggest questions in wildlife photography. Should you shoot handheld or use a tripod? I'm Peter Bredeldam, a nature photographer with over 10 years of experience. In this video, I'll walk you through what has worked for me in the field and explain why I almost always choose handheld first. So let's take a look. With today's cameras and lenses getting lighter and smarter, many photographers are leaning towards handheld. But does that mean that tripods are outdated? Well, not quite. Let's start with handheld shooting first before we get there. Now there's one word that comes to mind when we talk about handheld shooting, and that's freedom. You're not tied to one spot. Wildlife move fast, and when you're shooting handheld, you can actually move with it. So let's say an animal shifts direction. With handheld, you can react instantly, adjust with it, reframe, or change your point of view to get a better background. And there's no fiddling with tripod legs or trying to unlock a pan head. You're always ready. And that level of mobility and flexibility is important. A lot of times you're in the woods or in the forest, crouched down low, tracking an animal, and suddenly it walks to a clearing. With a tripod you need to stand up, adjust the legs and angles, maybe recompose, and by the time you're ready the animal could be gone. But handheld, you just shift your body, bring the camera up, and you're good to go. That adaptability is a huge advantage in wildlife photography, where the scene can change in a second. Now, another thing I love is being able to connect better with the environment. When I go handheld, I feel more aware. I'm not planted in one fixed spot, and if the lighting changes or the animal moves behind cover, I can shift with it. It's more immersive and more instinctive in a way. You're part of the scene and not just watching from a fixed position. And here's another point. Modern gear really support this style. Today's cameras come with excellent in-body image stabilization, and lenses have become much lighter. Even at 500 or 600 millimeter, I've shot handheld with those focal lengths and still achieve great sharpness. Yes, you need a decent technique, elbows tucked in and a good stance, smooth movements, but it's absolutely doable. Now you're way more mobile when you shoot handheld. Want to switch from a standing shot to a low angle ground level frame or composition? Easy, just drop down and shoot. No need to adjust tripod heights, mess with gear. If you're tracking an animal that's walking like parallel to you, you can walk along with it as long as you don't scare with your movements. Try doing that with a tripod smoothly. You'll have to stop, take some shots, and then lag behind, and then you have to hurry up to keep up, and then set up your tripod once more. You will feel that you're always behind. Also, when you're moving from one spot to another, then handheld is really a dream. You're not packing up tripods every 5 minutes or carrying it when trekking or carrying it on your shoulder. You just sling your camera around and then you are ready to go. And keep it that way all the time because it's always ready. Now, good tripods, especially the sturdy ones that are easy to handle or can handle heavy lenses, are quick to set up, they're really expensive, and that's before you add even a decent gimbal or video head. If you're just starting out or working on a budget, shooting handheld saves you a lot of money. Of course, handheld isn't perfect. There are a few downsides. But before we go there, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. So let's take a look at the downsides. So let's be real. Holding a DSLR or mirrorless with a 500mm lens or more for hours is tough. Your arms, back and shoulders are going to feel it. Even with lighter mirrorless setups, after a long day in the field, you'll be sore. It's especially hard if you're waiting in just one fixed position, hoping for an animal to show up. but you don't want to put the camera down just in case. Now this might also give away your position to some animals with very sharp senses. Now, because you don't have the stability of a tripod, you sometimes need to compensate a little bit with a faster shutter speed or have a very good handheld technique. And normally you set the shutter speed for the subject and its movement. However, if your subject is resting, you may want to use a very slow shutter speed, especially in low lights. But you also still want to get sharp photos. With handheld, you need a very good technique. If you don't have it, it usually means faster shutter speeds to avoid the blur, which pushes your ISO up. If your camera doesn't handle high ISO noise very well, this can be a problem, where a tripod would have saved the day. Also, you don't have anywhere to rest your camera. With a tripod, you can lock down your camera and simply just wait. Without one, you're either holding it constantly, your camera, and setting it down somewhere, which can mean missing a quick moment if you're not fast enough to grab it. Sometimes I rest my camera on my backpack or on my knees on the ground, but it's not ideal unless that is your shooting angle. Also, when it comes to videos, then handheld can be a struggle, especially with a telephoto lens. It's tough. Even the tiniest shake are magnified when you're zoomed in. You need some serious stabilization help in post-processing to make it usable. I do that all the time. This is where a tripod still wins. So let's take a look at when it does make sense to use a tripod. As I'm not completely anti-tripod, there are definitely times when it makes a lot of sense to use one. For instance, let's say you're in a hide. You've been there since 5 a.m. waiting for a deer to appear on a meadow. You're barely moving. You don't want to hold up a 4-kilo camera and lens combination for hours. And this is where a tripod saves the day. You just lock your camera in, sit back and wait. And when the action starts, then you're ready and your arms aren't like jelly already. Also, tripods also shine in low light situations, early mornings, golden hours, dusk, and the moments when the light is beautiful but your shutter speed naturally slows down. Like I said, if you're handheld, you risk blur, but with a tripod, you can keep your ISO low, drag the shutter a bit, and still get sharp images. That's huge if you're shooting with less than perfect light. However, my solution to that is normally just lie down on the ground, which gives you a great low angle shot and great stability with a long lens. Now, a tripod gives you buttery smooth pans for video footage that look professional, and this means that you can actually use more of the footage. However, there are some major downsides that using tripods that you just can't get around very easily. Let's say you spot a deer crossing a path. A handheld shooter can grab the camera and start firing. A tripod user has to extend 1, 2 or 3 legs, level it, mount the camera, and by that time the deer is already in the bushes. Tripods are also heavier and bulkier, and this is a big deal if you're trekking or going to remote areas. A decent tripod, especially a sturdy one, enough for long lenses, is not light. It's likely weighs between 2 or 3 kilos, and then at a gimbal head and it becomes even bulkier. One more thing to carry when you're moving fast or covering a lot of ground, it can really get tiring quickly. So where do I stand on tripod versus handheld? Honestly, I think both have their place. I'm not against tripods at all. In fact, I do use them sometimes when I sit on a hide or I need really steady video shots, like for my YouTube videos. But if you ask me what I prefer, most of the time I would go handheld. Wildlife doesn't wait. A deer doesn't give you time to set up a tripod. An egret or heron flying from one location to another isn't going to pause mid-air. You can get your tripod ready and the legs in position. Those quick moments, you'll need to be quick too, and that's why I really enjoy handhelds. And you avoid this kind of things. So If a scroll jumps from a branch, I can react instantly. I don't have to worry about adjusting, like if is it level, did I loosen the rotating of the lens mount, barrel mount? Did I not tighten the screw on the base plate tight enough so it does like this? Did I forget to unlock the pan and tilt from when I wanted it stationary? Of course, the gimbal helps really much there. But that's the point actually. There's something natural about hand holding. When the camera's in your hand, it becomes part of you. You feel like more connected to the moment, and that means a lot to me personally. You can like move with the animal, you can adjust whenever you need to. You can follow it smoothly, like your body and camera are one in a way. But with a tripod I have to like really keep up. I can't like really adjust easily or just change my position to like a few centimeters to one side. It becomes a real hassle in my opinion, and impossible with a tripod because you make a lot of noise. Now of course I could switch to a ground pod for low level shots, which I've often done, but that's also something you need to bring with you, set up and mount your camera to, instead of just lying down and just point your camera at your subject. Now don't get me wrong, hand holding your camera is not easy at first. I remember when I started out, I'd see a bird and try to take a shot by putting up my camera, but I would end up seeing nothing in the frame. I simply missed the bird, and it was frustrating. But with practice, it becomes natural and easier to log on to a moving subject handheld. And that process and skill development took some time, but it's one of the best skills that I've learned. Now, most of the time, my camera is in my hand and I love it that way, but you need to learn that. So if you're new to this, my advice is practice. And you can get some help with this in this video right up here. So see you over there. Take care.